Hey YouTubers, my name is Andrea René and welcome to my channel Andrea René Abroad, where I talk about Peace Corps, travel, and working abroad. I'm a returned Peace Corps volunteer who served in Nicaragua from August of 2016 to April of 2018, and I am now talking to you all from Melbourne, Australia, where I am working as an au pair for a family with 3 young children. Now, this is the second time in my life that I have embarked on a long-term travel experience where work is involved. And so I thought I would talk to you all about how to integrate quickly into a new country or culture. So much of the advice that I'm going to be providing you all with comes from my experience as a Peace Corps volunteer and having had that very scaffolded, structured pre-service training integration experience, and then also just what I've learned doing it on my own as an au pair in Australia. Maybe some of you are prospective Peace Corps volunteers and you're wondering what it will be like to integrate into your community of service and how you will come to start building relationships and feel comfortable in your new setting. Others of you may just be about to go off and be an au pair, or you're about to study abroad, or some other sort of experience where you are about to go into a culture for an extended period of time. Now, the first tip that I would like to give you all in order to help you integrate quicker into a country or culture that you are traveling to is to spend time with locals and or your host family. I think one of the things that is very easy to do is to get to a new country and then suddenly start looking for your fellow countrymen. So if you're a Peace Corps volunteer, this would be hanging out with only other Peace Corps volunteers who are also American, just like you. If you're studying abroad, this would be only hanging out with other people who are studying abroad. What you want to do is you want to spend time with locals from the country and culture that you are living and working in. If you have a host family, spend time with your host family. As a Peace Corps volunteer, I lived with a host family and I spent a lot of time with them. And I'm really glad that I did this because it not only helped me improve my Spanish and also learn some of the different Nicaraguan colloquialisms and slang, jerga as they would say in Spanish. It also just helped me learn about Nicaraguan culture and history and politics. I had built enough of a relationship with my host family during Peace Corps to be able to really ask them questions. The same has been true of my experience of living with an Australian host family here in Melbourne. I have built a really great relationship with my host family and I feel very comfortable asking my host parents various questions about Australian culture, Melburnian culture, and just learning about the history of Australia through them. And I really feel like this has accelerated my integration process because I am learning from them. If you happen to be studying the language, if you have traveled to a country where you do not know the language, this is even more important for the integration process. Even as an American traveling to Australia, there are a host of things that I've already learned about Australian English that I would not have known had I never come to Australia. A lot of these are related to being an au pair. For example, diapers are called nappies, strollers are called prams. A lot of these are childcare related words, but these are things that I think are also part of language acquisition when you're traveling. I know it's easy to just think like, oh, talk to locals. I'll just talk to the person that I'm ordering from at the restaurant. No, I think you should take it an extra step beyond that. You should actually be spending quality time and building quality relationships with the people in the country where you are either serving, working, or living. My second tip for integrating quickly into a new culture, whether it be you being a Peace Corps volunteer or just long-term travel or work, is to develop a routine for yourself as quickly as possible. When I say routine, I am including both your work and your self-care and or socializing routine. When I was a Peace Corps volunteer, I was thrown into a situation where I had to completely reevaluate my routine. And by that, I mean not only my relationships with different people who I was spending time socializing with, but also things such as diet, exercise. Now that I'm in round 2 of living in another country, I found a routine as quickly as possible. So what have I done to build that routine? Well, I already had kind of a routine going on in the United States for my mornings. I'm really big on morning routines. I love waking up early. I love spending some time meditating, stretching, going on a run. And so I decided to just immediately transfer that here to Australia. And then on top of that, I also made an effort to go and get a gym membership during my first week here in Melbourne. So if exercise is something that is important to you, I would find a way to get your exercise routine going as quickly as possible. Now, speaking of routines, I think it is also healthy to develop a routine for talking with friends and family back in the United States. You're already gonna be under pressure and under stress being in a new culture. So if you establish set times to talk to loved ones back home, wherever you are from, this will help you a lot during the integration process. It can be something that you look forward to on your calendar, and it will just be a way to just revitalize yourself, and you'll feel new and refreshed. My third tip for integrating quickly into a new culture or country is to get to know your transportation situation. So when I was a Peace Corps volunteer in Nicaragua, I did have access to buses. There were lots of buses that would go all over the country, but also there was a bus system in my city of Esteli. In Nicaragua, there is no application or something like that that you can use. You really just need to talk to locals and find out what the bus route is, how frequently the buses come. So if any of you are Peace Corps volunteers listening to this is where talking to your host family or locals will be extremely critical for you to get to know your transportation system. Now, if you're going to a more developed country, like where I am right now here in Australia, it still doesn't hurt to talk to locals. I talked to my host mom about what were my different options for the tram system here in Melbourne. She got me a MyKey, which was really awesome. That's just the Metro card here in Melbourne. And then I did the groundwork to figure out where I could refill my MyKey card. Once you figure out the transportation situation in the new country or culture you are living in, that just opens up so many doors for you to be able to explore the place where you are living in, to feel safe. The more you ride the public transportation, the more comfortable you will feel using it. You won't be as scared to use it. And again, talk to locals. Now, my fourth tip for integrating into a new culture or country is to invest in a travel guidebook. Now, I know this might sound really corny, and maybe you're thinking like, what? This is the digital age, the internet's available. Yes, I agree with you. The internet is available. There's, many ways that you can look up places to do, things to see, hashtags on Instagram, the whole lot, right? But having a book handy has been so helpful for me. I had a guidebook for Nicaragua when I was a Peace Corps volunteer that my uncle actually gifted me, and I ended up liking it so much that I decided to invest in one for Melbourne and the state of Victoria, which is where I am currently living. Now, when you invest in a travel guidebook, you do want to consider the size of the country you are going to. Australia is almost the same size as the lower 48 of the United States. I feel like it wouldn't make any sense to get a travel guidebook for the entire country of Australia because it's a very large country. But Nicaragua is a very small country. It's only the size of New York, the state of New York. So it made sense to get a book just on Nicaragua. I really advise doing this because it will be filled with different ideas for where to travel, where to eat, and also just tips and tricks for navigating as a foreigner in a new country. My fifth tip might seem extremely obvious since we're talking about integration, but it's just to walk around and explore the area you are living in. Don't be afraid to just walk down the street and get a little bit lost or wander into a new cafe that you've never been to before. Chances are you'll likely meet somebody, you'll get talking to somebody, and maybe it will end up being the cafe that you go to every single week. I know that traveling takes a lot of courage, and I understand that traveling does come with its stresses. Believe me, I've been there, but I really think that if you use these 5 tips, you will be able to integrate much faster into the country or culture you will be living in for a long time. Good luck wherever you are headed in your travels, and I will see you all next week.